We will be going live in about 10 seconds, and we'll begin there. Thank you, Mindy, for the reminder. So just before we begin, if you are less familiar with Zoom, the best way for you to experience this is to watch this in what's called speaker view. And if you're on a computer or a laptop, in the top right-hand corner, it says speaker view. When you do that, the person who's speaking should be the face that you see. And as long as everyone is muted and the only person who you can hear is the speaker, that should come out that way. So our students just know, however, that if you put yourselves on speaker view, you will probably see somebody else, not yourself. Don't worry about it. We'll be able to see you. Okay. So I'm gonna ask everyone to mute yourself. Well, I'll mute, and everyone can also mute yourselves. David and Eric, if you can just make sure that everyone is muted before we begin. And we welcome you to our ceremony of our ritual of consecration as we mark this moment in our confirmation year. I'd like to turn it over to Cantor Kolbrenner with an opening song.
Shabbat Shalom, family and friends. Welcome to our confirmation ritual of consecration. Today's celebration is not how we imagined it. In fact, several weeks ago, we wanted to wait until it was safe to gather in person, whenever that might be. We didn't think we would do anything until then.
However, after talking to Rabbi Briskin and David Sandman and talking amongst ourselves, we and our parents decided that this consecration ceremony would be a good first part of our confirmation service. We have worked hard over the years, and especially this year, and we didn't want to let this moment pass without acknowledging our work.
Today we will share some poems and music, but mostly you will hear from the seven of us. And sometime next year, when we can gather safely and celebrate the way we had planned, we will wear our robes, take our picture to hang on the confirmation wall, and hold part 2 of our confirmation service. Thank you again for being here. We are so happy that you've logged on.
Poem, Always Be, by the poet unknown. Always be understanding to your enemies, be loyal to your friends, be strong enough to face the world each day, be weak enough to know you cannot do everything alone. Always be generous to those who need your help, be frugal, but that you need yourself. Be wise enough to know that you do not know everything. Be smart enough to continue learning. Always be willing to share your joys. Be willing to share the sorrows of others. Be a leader when you see a path others have missed. Be a follower when you are shrouded by the midst of uncertainty. Always be first to congratulate an opponent who succeeds. Be last to criticize a colleague who fails. Be sure where your next step will fall so that you will not tumble. Be sure of your final destination, by setting your goals along the way. Above all, always be yourself.
This year, Rabbi Briskin and David Sandman introduced a new curriculum for confirmation. Throughout the year, we studied midot, which are character traits, including wisdom, generosity, humility, as well as 6 others. We used a program from an educational organization called Chai Mitzvah. When we studied each midah, we looked at Jewish texts about each one, and we tried to connect each midah to our lives through discussion and activity. Our reflections later in this ceremony will explain better how each one of us understands and relates to a specific midah.
We also did a number of community service projects. Throughout the year, we volunteered at the Jewish Relief Agency, helped sort food for the Share Me food pantry, made meals for Caring for Friends, and Purim gift baskets.
4 of us also spent a weekend in Washington, D.C. at the Lit Ken Social Justice Seminar sponsored by the Religious Action Center. We learned about important social justice issues and the political process that helps address these issues. We learned how Washington, D.C. works or doesn't work, and we learned how to lobby our congressional representatives. The weekend culminated with a trip to Capitol Hill, where we met with our elected officials to advocate for policies and legislation that are important to us and to the reform movement.
For the last 2 months, we have met just about every week on Zoom. While not the same as meeting in person, at least we were able to see each other, have some conversations, and prepare for today. All in all, it was different, but still a good year. We are glad that we can celebrate our achievements with all of you today.
I'm going to introduce Fern Levy, who is our youth director extraordinaire. She's going to share a poem I'm going to put on the screen as well. Fern.
Believing in you. Never stop believing in yourself. When others doubt, don't you. Do what you love to do. No one knows better than you. Life is too short to live others' dreams. Follow your own dream. Push yourself to reach your goals and live the life you once dreamed. Trust your instincts. Be true to yourself. You know what's right for you. Never give up or give in. Forget the words, I don't know how. You can learn, you can research, you can do. Your mind is powerful when you believe you can. You will find a way, you won't waste a day. Persist and persevere, do not fear, because if you believe in you, you will find dreams can come true. May all your dreams turn into goals, believe in yourself, and remember, all of life is a choice. The decision is up to you. Believe in yourself. Dare to be whatever you want to be.
Thank you, Fern.
In the 25 or so confirmation classes I have been honored to work with here at Shira Me, I need to tell you that this one was very special. Sure, each of them has been unique in its own way, but there was one important factor that made our teaching year completely different than all of the ones that came before it. This year, we replaced the long-standing Shira Me 10 Commandments syllabus with something called the Chai Mitzvah Teen Musar program, which is a text-based experiential curriculum formed a little over a decade ago and has currently seen more than 1,500 students participate in it across our country. Introducing the Chai Mitzvah program to our confirmation students this year gave Rabbi and I a chance to study 9 different virtue-based ethics. And these topics, called midot, opened the door for meaningful conversations with our 10th graders about the ways each of us can live an ethical life. Today, I am pleased that you'll hear each one of our confirmands speak thoughtfully, personally, and honestly on an individual topic from our selection of midot. Wisdom, generosity, compassion, friendship, mindfulness, gratitude, and humility were among the 9 topics we examined this year. I think you'll find today what our confirmands have to say to be uniquely their own interpretation and a reflection on this topic. Each writing is moving, eloquent, and uniquely theirs. With that, I congratulate our Shira Me confirmation students and your families for a wonderful year of study. Our program and the refreshing shift in topic of conversation this year remains a touchstone of their education at Shirame and a fine example of the dedication to living a Jewish life. Mazel tov to all. Our first speaker you'll hear today will be Isabella Stein.
I'm speaking on the midah of humility. I have come to realize that I have a lot to be grateful for. My life is pretty good and I do not have many serious problems. I think about how I live in a good area, I go to a good school, and I have supportive family and friends. Living in Newtown has not presented me with many problems. Yet with all of this, it is still important that I keep my humility and try my best not to take these things for granted. Humility to me is about valuing others and being grateful for what you have. I am still learning how to show humility and apply it in my life. In today's world, it can be really easy to lose humility. The conditions around you can cause you to grow arrogant and take what you have for granted. Being a white person in today's society, I can recognize this. The attention surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement makes me realize how privileged I am to be white at a time where I could easily take my life for granted. I do not have to live in fear nor worry about being oppressed just because of the color of my skin. I have this privilege as a white American. This can often cause many people to lose humility towards others. I think those who believe that white lives are more important and more valuable than Black lives do not have humility. But humility is not about undervaluing yourself, it is about valuing other people. Throughout these upsetting times, I have come to realize how important this virtue is. To value others and to realize that we should all be treated equally and that I am not above anyone else because of the color of my skin is a valuable reminder. It is easy to see, especially in these times, how important it is to have humility. Not only has this movement helped me realize how important humility is, but it has also taught me how to use humility at a time like this. Although I recognize that this discrimination is not happening to me and I will never fully understand it, I am learning to be a better ally. I am learning to listen to others more and to be more supportive. I am trying my best to be understanding and sympathetic and to put others before me because they are the ones who need my help. Making yourself smaller and prioritizing others at their time of need is also what humility is about. I feel very lucky to be a Jew in today's world. During the Holocaust, I very well could have died because I was Jewish. Now I have freedom of religion, and that is something that could be taken for granted because I never had to fight for it. Yet, whenever I study the Holocaust or I meet or listen to a survivor, I am humbled and feel extremely grateful for the times that I live in. I cannot even begin to imagine what they went through just for being Jewish. I've never had to experience anything remotely like that kind of discrimination, so it is important to remember our struggle because it can teach me humility. Through this, I've learned to value others regardless of religion. Even though having humility is so important, we often find it challenging to express it to others. I think this is because people often misinterpret it as a sign of weakness when it is actually a demonstration of your inner strength and character. Arrogance and lack of empathy seems to be what tears us apart. Humility cultivates a powerful compassion for humanity, which is exactly what the world needs right now.
I'm Logan Safer, and I'll be speaking on the midah of friendship. If we have learned anything from this pandemic and being isolated in our houses, it is that humans are social creatures. Every day that goes by, we feel like we are going insane because we cannot be with the people who we want to be with. And yes, we do love our families and we spend countless hours cherishing each other, but most of us truly would rather spend time with our friends. Friendship is a complicated bond that has different importance to every person. I value my friends because things rarely ever get dark or serious with them. It is almost always lighthearted and happy. Whenever I'm feeling down, one of them will tell me a joke or make a comment to cheer me up. My friends are also the people that I know, no matter how much they annoy me, will have my back when I need them. For example, one of my best friends can sometimes be the most annoying person that I've ever met, by either stealing food from me or pinching or flicking me. But he was also the same person to be the first there for me when I found out that my grandfather had passed away a few months ago. I realized he helped me get through my grieving by being there and supporting me. In Judaism, this is considered a mitzvah. Further, he committed the mitzvah of Nichum Avilim, which is to be at Shiva. Shiva is a Jewish ritual that helps a grieving family get through the mourning process. My friends who showed up at my grandfather's Shiva were truly a great help to me emotionally, making a tough time a bit easier. But what is so special about these friendships is that they had no idea they were committing a mitzvah. They just wanted to be there for me when I was in need. To me, this is the real key in a friendship. I think it is necessary to have somebody to count on and trust to be there for you no matter what you are going through. The fun parts are easy, but our friends who step up in darker times are what allow us to get through life and help us grow as humans. The right group of friends will make you feel as if you are never alone, which is incredibly important because everyone goes through phases in which they feel as if they are. Lately, social distancing and isolation has made our friendships even more precious. This is the heart of why we create friendships, so that we can be there for each other, just as our friends are there for us.
I'm Kara Silverman. I'm speaking on the Midah of compassion. I have been a cheerleader for the past 7 years, and while there have been many great experiences from this, it has also led me to getting injured often. A little over a year ago, I had to get surgery on my foot. Being someone who is typically very active, it was hard for me not to be able to do any intense activities for a couple months while I healed. Luckily, I had some amazing family and friends who understood what I was going through and supported me through it. They showed me compassion by visiting me and bringing me food, gifts, and other little things to cheer me up. Some who visited me were also people who had been seriously injured through cheer. They were able to empathize because they had been through it before and could feel compassion for the pain that I was in. This is something that I really needed during that difficult time. There are lots of other people in the world who feel the same way that I did and are in need of some compassion. They might be sick or injured in mental or physical pain, or just might be going through some personal issues and just need someone to be there for them. Right now, people may have the COVID virus or have a family member or friend with the virus and can't visit them. There is a Jewish text that says, "Do not stand idly by while your neighbor bleeds." In a figurative sense, this means that if somebody is hurt or in pain, whether it be physical or emotional, you should not just stand there and let them suffer. You should help them and feel compassion towards them. Typically, I'm a person to be there if someone is having a problem or just needs to talk. I always want to be able to feel compassion for someone if they need to have somebody by their side. I also have known many great people who have been there to ease my physical or mental struggles, whether it be carrying me off the mat, the competition mat at cheer after getting injured on stage, or during my recovery periods of my injuries. They have been there. I've also had people stand by me when my mental health was in a bad place and help make me feel better about myself when I couldn't do that on my own. Just as some great people have done for me, I want to be able to do the same for others. A friend of mine had an anxiety attack one day back in middle school, and she immediately came to me. We were able to get her to a counselor and sit down and talk it out. Because I had been in similar situations, it was easy to feel compassion. It felt great to be able to be there for someone who was in a place that I had also been in. Growing up in a Jewish household, going to Hebrew school, participating in Nifty Par, and attending Jewish summer camp have taught me how to feel compassion towards others and love all in the same way. Jewish traditions tell us to sympathize with others and feel for each other's pain, even though we may not be able to personally experience all of it. To me, this very much defines compassion, and I have lived by those Jewish values my entire life. The teaching, love your neighbor as yourself, can also be interpreted as having to love ourselves before being able to love others. I have grown to like the person that I am, and now I can go and show other people the love that they deserve and give them the same compassion that I would love to receive. At Camp Harlem, I was taught to love everyone and how to be there for somebody when they might be homesick or going through some other problems while being away from their family. It is important to have compassion in the world because if someone were unable to feel compassion for others, nobody would be able to express themselves and would just keep all of their struggles inside. I have learned that it is never good to keep feelings to myself if it is hurting me because it just manifests and makes my struggles worse. I have learned to be a compassionate person because I have seen other people who are able to give that to me when I was most in need. Compassion makes us better people and is truly a Jewish way for us to make the world a better place.
My name is Ezra Briskin, and I will be speaking on the Midah of wisdom. Wisdom is such an abstract concept. Who are wise people? How does someone become wise? What characteristics define a wise person? These were all questions I contemplated while writing this reflection piece, and it was often difficult coming up with answers. In fact, my own definition of wisdom has changed a bit since I began this process. But that is what is so great about the idea of wisdom. It is completely subjective. A wise man to one can be a fool to another, and there are no set parameters of what wisdom truly is. The dictionary defines wisdom as the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. When I think about this definition, I can't help but question the vagueness of it. Who's to say who possesses experience, knowledge, and good judgment? Personally, I feel that wisdom is best displayed in a time of distress or uncertainty. This is why many people consider Martin Luther King Jr. to be wise. He displayed tremendous knowledge, patience, good judgment, and rationality during the entirety of the civil rights movement, and his words are still taught to this day. With the current turmoil in the United States regarding police brutality and race relations, it is important to remember people like MLK and to think about how his tremendous wisdom has lived on even 50 years after his death. It is difficult to pinpoint exact moments in my life where I have displayed wisdom. For most of my life, I have not been in a position to lead during a time of uncertainty, but recently one of these moments occurred. If you know me, you know that I am a committed member of NIFTY, the youth branch of the URJ. NIFTY, which stands for North American Federation of Temple Youth, has shaped me as a person, as a leader, and has helped me find my Jewish identity. 2 months ago, I was elected as the fundraising vice president of my local NIFTY region, NIFTY PAR. Only a couple weeks after my election, NIFTY underwent massive structural changes, and our beloved director was ultimately let go. Through this uncertain time within NIFTY, I, alongside my fellow board members, had to find a clear view of the situation and continue to lead our region. We enacted many virtual programs to keep participants involved and engaged, and have met with other NIFTY leaders from around the country to discuss our options. But it's one big question mark as to how NIFTY will operate once COVID passes. We have scrambled to put together a plan to retain a regional identity, but throughout the turmoil, we have maintained a rational point of view and good judgment. We understand why the changes had to happen, and although we might disagree on some of the decisions made, we remind ourselves that we were elected for a reason and we are expected to lead no matter what. It is due to our collective understanding of the situation that we feel confident to lead our region responsibly as best we can. Maybe this awareness is really a version of wisdom. In chapter 4, verse 1 of Pirkei Avot, it reads, "Who is wise? Someone who learns from everyone." The idea of gathering multiple points of view is something that I consider extremely important to my own development. I think about how before my family had moved across the country, I was surrounded by people who had very similar ideologies and mindsets. There was not much dialogue that took place between people of fundamentally different philosophies and priorities. When we moved, I noticed that had changed. I was now one of a small number of people who had the ideology and mindset that I have. I was now partaking in discussions and conversations where I was often in the minority opinion, and I don't think that it is a coincidence that I have seen more intellectual growth over the last 2 years than I had in the previous 14. If not for this infusion of brand new perspectives into my life and the opportunity to learn from others, I doubt that I'd be the person I am today. The Greek philosopher Socrates said, the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. This level of self-awareness allows all of us to strive for wisdom, to strive for new experiences, to seek knowledge, and to use good judgment in times of uncertainty. We may not always know what wisdom truly is, but that doesn't mean we can't still strive to attain it.
I'm Kira Delsenor, and I'm speaking on the Midah of gratitude. Gratitude can come in all different forms. It is not just shown through our actions and words and does not always have to be done in big gestures. It can be a simple thank you or just a hug. During times of hardship, sometimes people can forget the things that they should feel thankful for. If people can't find even little things to be grateful for, they can end up having a sad and somber life. During the coronavirus and the hardship we are currently facing, I try to remember that I have my friends and family here for me. I'm so grateful for the many actions that have helped me through these past 15 years. To turn away from the sad times and recognize the joyful moments, remember the little things in life that give you joy and help you to become who you are. I believe we shouldn't dwell on the sad parts in your life because that's all they are, just parts of your life in the big scheme of things. These past weeks, I've been struggling with stress and anxiety towards virtual schoolwork, changes in relationships, and not being able to physically spend time with friends and family. But then I remember to be grateful for the quick visits I get from them. They have shown up at my house with iced coffee, donuts, milkshakes, and so much more. And they did not just bring me food, but also gave advice on coping during a stressful time. We talked while jumping on the trampoline or during socially distant walks and bike rides and through text. All of it helped me get my mind off the stress. They also reminded me that I'm a strong person and I would emerge from this difficult time. Through these little gestures, I remember to be grateful for my friends who are always there for me. Not only am I grateful for my friendships, but I also give thanks every day for my family. I think about the many gatherings throughout the year, from holidays like Father's Day, the Buddy Charity Walk, and even a unique family carnival. On those days, we all come together and celebrate birthdays, holidays, and even our differences and have fun together. These outings have taught me so much about family and how we love and care for everyone, no matter what religion or race. During quarantine, my family has gone over to my grandparents' house and helped with the garden, went out to get them food, or stood on their lawn and just had conversations with them to keep them company. These times can be very lonely, but with people reminding you what's important, it helps you be grateful. My parents have shown me so much they love and care for their own parents by the actions during this time of need. Seeing the gratitude my grandparents have for my parents makes me recognize how lucky I am to have such loving, caring, and generous people in my life. My Judaism is another part of my life that I'm grateful for. Since I was in preschool, I've been living a Jewish life. I went to Abrams Hebrew Academy, a Jewish preschool, and then later went through Hebrew school at Jeremy. I always had a great time with my friends and ended up really enjoying and learning so much about Judaism. My Jewish studies have taught me gratitude and appreciation for the things I have. I plan to continue to live a Jewish life and will teach my future family all about our Jewish culture. I hope to visit Israel someday and see this beautiful land I've learned so much about. I'm grateful for the knowledge of our ancestors, heritage, ideology, and of course, my family and teachers that have taught me about the Jewish customs and culture to help me to learn and grow as a Jewish citizen. Being isolated these past months have given me time to think. I recognize that it's through my friends, family, and Jewish teachings that I have learned the important lessons of gratitude. These three areas in my life have allowed me to have a deeper connection and appreciation for the important things and have definitely helped me to continue to learn and grow.
I'm Brady Klein, and I will be speaking on the Midah of generosity. During the months of confirmation classes, one of the Midot we discussed is generosity. The idea of generosity is seen not only as the ability to reach out and perform a service to benefit the well-being of another, but also about the underlying ideas, thoughts, and feelings of why it is being done by those who do it. The idea of donating one's time and/or money is a very noble and selfless act. Being generous is beneficial to the mental health of all people, those who provide the service and those who receive it. Even a simple thank you or an encouraging message and a smile can make somebody's day, where they can then pass it on to another person and so on. It creates a ripple effect of kindness, and the possibilities for outreach towards others are endless. The happier we as humans are, the more we want to pass it on to others in the form of a donation of either time, energy, love, or another form of generosity. Oftentimes, the most generous of gifts aren't always the physical ones, but rather are the giving of one's time and support to others in need. When participating in volunteer events and community outreach opportunities through the synagogue, I feel a stronger tie to the Jewish community while also being able to help those in need. Organizations such as the Jewish Relief Agency, Caring for Friends, and the Shirami Food Pantry help provide meals to families who are less fortunate than my own. The opportunities given to myself and others to spread generosity throughout the community are important. From working with the Shirami Food Pantry to volunteering at a local assisted living facility, both have shown me another side to life that I wouldn't necessarily have seen without getting involved. I have learned that a little bit of one's time of volunteering and giving their generosity can go a long way in helping a lot of people and families. Donating and showing generosity through art has always been something I've felt passionate about because art has always been something of interest to me. While in middle school, I spent time at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia during several surgeries and many doctor and physical therapy visits. Every time I left the hospital, I always felt strongly for the children who couldn't leave their beds, so much so that, in fact, my bar mitzvah project allowed me to collect and donate hundreds of arts and craft supplies for children staying at CHOP long term. In similar circumstances during this time of lockdown, where many elderly people are not able to see their friends and family, I'm working towards creating artwork to send into their facilities to lift their spirits. My passion for art and my desire to be generous in this way keeps me connected to my Jewish upbringing of doing mitzvot.
Hello, I'm Jessica Firestone, and I'm speaking on the Midah of mindfulness. There have been occasions in all of our lives in which we found ourselves feeling like we do not belong. In order to discover the meaning of this within, we must learn to become self-aware. The act of becoming self-aware is also known as mindfulness, one of the midot we discussed this year in confirmation class. In my own life, this act of becoming mindful with my Jewish identity has taken time. Beginning in 6th grade, my mother and I started to read the Torah together. We would find time very late at night after finishing homework and after school activities to read a few pages of Torah and discuss them before we went to bed. Despite our interest in learning about the people and our history, I soon realized that although I love my religion and my culture, my beliefs did not always align with Judaism. We struggled to even read one page without me interrupting my mom. I would stop her and explain that the stories did not make sense to me and that I had trouble believing they were plausible. I was stuck on one key point: God. The concept of an all-powerful being that only sometimes chose to save our people did not resonate with me. I felt lost, as if I no longer knew a part of myself. It troubled me that God was described as a deity with love for all, yet the Torah showed his quick anger with the nature of humanity, drawing me away from the idea. God was always presented as one of the defining aspects of Judaism. Most prayers and blessings discussed God, and I was unable to understand how I could still belong in my community as a Jew. My mother and I eventually took a break from our Torah reading. Judaism teaches us to question the religion and God so that we may better understand them. Yisrael, which in English means to wrestle with God, was a biblical figure who learned to question Judaism and define what the religion meant to him. After much of my own introspection, I came to realize that I did not believe in God, and at first accepting this was difficult. I questioned, how will my family and my close friends react? I have known my best friend for over 12 years of my life, beginning with our time in Jewish nursery school together. Our bond is founded on our shared beliefs and worldly outlooks, and we viewed Judaism as something that united us further. Even though I can tell her anything, I wrestled to share my feelings about God with her. I feared that we would lose much of our special relationship, and I ended up waiting over a year before I expressed to her my disbelief in God. Although I was lost, I still felt a strong connection with my Jewish community because of the morals that were shared through song and prayer during every service. I believed there was so much to learn from Judaism, and I respected the moral obligation we were held to in the religion, with teachings to better the world, to learn from others, and to always seek out the peaceful solution. Every Friday, we shared blessings of healing. Bless those in need of healing with refuach shlema, the renewal of body and spirit, for those in our community who needed strength. This always filled me with a sense of purpose and admiration. In 7th grade, I was finally able to define how I viewed my Judaism by understanding within myself that I could still be Jewish with my focus on the moral aspects of the religion while not believing in God. Towards the end of middle school, my family and I were driving to Penn State to drop off my sister at college. We were all bored with the long ride, so one of my family members began playing a random podcast about Reformed Judaism, but it caught my attention immediately. The podcast discussed the subcategories of Judaism. One speaker mentioned being an atheist Jew. This refers to a person who practices Judaism but does not believe in the idea of a God. The concept still sounds like an oxymoron, but I found myself identifying with the term, and since then I have adopted it to describe my Jewish identity. Atheism simply means one does not believe in God, and by no means signifies that I do not accept religion, which for me is striving to make the world a better place. This new level of becoming mindful of myself stands as a turning point in my life. Accepting my Jewish identity allowed me to grow greater love for my religion, and I started to integrate my life more with it. I became involved in our youth group Shafty, joining the board, taking part in many events, and making new friends. I also began attending more Friday night Shabbat services because they too brought me a sense of mindfulness, balance and escape from my daily stressors with the uplifting music, the sense of consistency they brought me, and a special time of the week to join together with my family and my community. My mother and I have begun reading the Torah again together, though I still often interrupt her with my opposing views. Although my journey of becoming mindful is different than everyone else's, it is important to find little ways in our daily lives to become more self-aware and to discover what makes us balanced. These, along with the midot mentioned by my classmates, helps us all to become stronger within ourselves as well as in our community.
So thank you to our 7 extraordinary students. Just want to just give everyone just a chance, if you want to type something in the chat to wish them mazel tov or great job or whatnot. This is by far, I think, is one of the politest chats I've ever seen. There wasn't all this commentary going back and forth. So please take a moment, and then we'll continue in just a second or two. And I gotta say, there's probably no greater joy than as our students are speaking to also keep an eye on their parents or grandparents as they are speaking as well, and just seeing such nachas, such pride for the words that they share. Words that are very different from when they became bar and bat mitzvah just 3 years ago, and to see how much they grow. And this is what confirmation is all about. Right, so I have a few words as well to share. So I already attended 2 B'nai Mitzvah today. One was held locally and the other this afternoon in Los Altos Hills, California. Each featured a small gathering of family members who were in person, while dozens of family and friends logged in remotely. Our friends in California transformed their backyard into a mikdash me'at, a small sanctuary, a very high-tech one at that, where the bar mitzvah appeared on one screen, the rabbi from his home on another, the cantor from her home on a third screen. And they had some great tech support behind the scenes as well, because everyone was just kind of coming in and out seamlessly, and I had to figure out how we can make that work for Shir Me. But today's B'nai Mitzvah were special and different. You see, these milestone moments are becoming the norm for our new way of gathering, alone and together. Now, instead of looking throughout the sanctuary to see who we recognize, we scroll through screens, examining each single Zoom box. We send public and private chats and comments to our friends. We comment on people's backgrounds. It's not what we prefer, but it's our best option, and thankfully, technology enables us to be spiritually together while physically apart. Several weeks ago, we thought, based on the preferences of our students, that we would simply postpone confirmation until a later date when we could gather normally in person. However, as we began to think about it more, we realized that letting this moment slip away with no recognition would be a missed opportunity. Our students, as well as David Sandman and I, needed to mark this moment now and at least have some closure to this year. And this is how we came up with this ritual of consecration, or what we may call part 1 of our 2-part confirmation ceremony. Now, it's always been my custom, and now it's becoming Shir Me's custom, to hold a small private ceremony right before confirmation. We call it consecration. Now, this isn't like the consecration ceremony that many of our confirmands celebrated when they were kindergartners. We don't have mini Torah scrolls to give to you today, I'm sorry. But rather, we make this moment holy and special. We consecrate this moment in their lives as they conclude their formal religious school studies. Consecration, what we typically do, is shared only with them and their teachers. So this afternoon's ceremony, while more public than our regular consecration, provides an opportunity to make holy and sacred this moment in the lives of these 7 extraordinary young men and women. As you've learned already, we spent the year studying a classical Jewish practice called Musar. It teaches us how to cultivate character traits and values that help guide our lives, enabling us to be better people to ourselves and to others, and ultimately helps us live in partnership with our God in whom we believe or not. The 9 midot we explored this year, wisdom, generosity, compassion, friendship, mindfulness, order, trust, gratitude, and humility, are a small number from the total corpus of midot that Musar masters teach. While cultivating these character traits and others can be important for anyone, when we practice it through the lens of Musar, drawing upon our text and tradition as we connect them to our lives, I do believe this traditional Jewish practice improves our lives today. Now to you, our confirmation class of 5780 and going into 5781 most likely. To you, Ezra, Kira, Jessica, Brady, Logan, Kara, and Izzy. We are so, so proud of you. You are a small but mighty class. Each of you in your own way is headstrong and sensitive, serious and playful, and most of all, a joy to be around. Over the course of the year, you have begun to cultivate all of the aforementioned midot through a Jewish lens. You came to us already steeped in the values of friendship, compassion, generosity, and more. You added new midot, new practices and understanding to your lives. And today, each of you took a deeper dive into one of them, making it more personal and connected to your own life, where you are right here, right now. You are an extraordinary group of young women and men, and you continue to become more extraordinary with each passing day. I hope that the lessons we've learned over the course of this year will continue to guide and inspire you in the months and years ahead. There are, however, other midot to cultivate, especially in this time of pandemic. Perseverance, resilience, patience, courage, and strength are just a few that come to mind. We are living through challenging and uncertain times. Drawing upon the wisdom of our tradition in general and our Musar masters in particular to help guide us through this moment in our history could be very helpful. I hope that you will continue to reflect on what we've learned this past year. Think about a moment or two that shaped you, that made you think differently, that raised up a new insight. In addition, please carry all the years of your religious school training, all of the Jewish values you have learned and assimilated into your lives, whether it's Shir Me, Jewish camp, or elsewhere. Carry all this that has led you to this sacred moment. Today is part 1 of a 2-part confirmation ceremony. The blessing coming from this decision is that David and I will be able to spend time together again, sometime in the next year in the weeks leading up to whenever part 2 will take place. Yes, you'll have to do a little more work and reflection, but it will be worth it. You'll do this work together, a little older, a little wiser. You see, even out of the sadness and disappointment of having to share this on Zoom, come moments of opportunity and blessing. The Torah portion that we read this morning, Shalach Lecha, described a situation in which 10 of 12 people sent to scout out the promised land returned with negative reports. Only Joshua and Caleb were able to see possibilities through the challenges. For their vision, they were rewarded. They were the only ones from the generation that left Egypt who were permitted to enter the promised land. And so, drawing upon the example of Joshua and Caleb, this is my prayer for you. Do not be like the 10 who were afraid and uncertain. Rather, be like Joshua and Caleb, who led with courage, determination, wisdom, and faith. Be bold and brave. Stand up for that which you believe in. Use your words and your deeds to build up communities of justice and righteousness. Use your words and deeds to perpetuate the best of what our Jewish tradition offers. Share your gifts and continue to cultivate awareness of the beauty in our world, even when so much seems dark. Use your light to pierce darkness Above all, maintain hope. Be optimistic, just like Joshua and Caleb, as you, your generation, you lead us to our promised land. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and may we all be strengthened by the many, many gifts you offer us. Amen. So at this time, Cantor Kolbrenner, Rabbi Goldberg, and I would like to bestow upon our confirmands Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. And I'll invite everyone to go into gallery view for a moment, because you're going to help us bestow this blessing. So if we were at Shirami, the three of us would probably hold our hands up over all of the students who are sitting in the front row in a way to bless them. But here, we all have the power to bless. So I invite you to just to hold your hands up towards your camera as we bless everyone, as we symbolically and technologically place our hands on the heads of our children, on all of them, as we recite, as we share this blessing together. Cantor?
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. Shalom.
And may God's presence be with you always, inspiring you, leading you, challenging you, but always there with you, leading you to do acts of righteousness, of justice, to act with compassion and humility and generosity and trust and so much more, but above all, to lead you to a place of peace. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to invite Rabbi Eric Goldberg, who is part of our clergy team and our director of education, who has known these students for far longer than I have, well, with one exception. And Rabbi Goldberg to just share a couple of words, please. And you can go back to speaker view as well.
Thank you, Rabbi. And Mazel Tov to all of our families, to all of our students. It's been great to hear your words of, to use a term that Ezra used earlier, your words of wisdom guiding us this evening into the end of Shabbat and the beginning of our new week. In just a little bit, we will do the ceremony of Havdalah. And so Rabbi asked me to speak about that for a moment in a little bit, but I want to share a little bit about it now also, because I think it gives us some insight into you, our students. Havdalah is made up of several blessings. The first of which is our blessing over wine or juice, the sweetness of which reminds us of the Shabbat that we are leaving and the week into which we are entering. And so to our confirmands today, I say, remember that life is sweet and that you should bring sweetness to others. And if you want to know one way in which you can do that, you might have noticed that on my door in my office, there is a bumper sticker, for lack of a better term, that says, Tein chiyuch kol hatova. Just give a smile and everything will be good. Bring sweetness into this world, whether it's over Zoom or in person, by just giving others a smile. Our next blessing during Havdalah is that of spices, reminding us of the extra soul we get each and every Shabbat. And to our confirmands, I say, live a life filled with soul, with passion, and dedicate yourself to doing what it takes to make the world the way we dream it to be. Because according to Jewish tradition, when the world is made perfect, we will get that extra soul that we get on Shabbat each and every day of our lives. The third blessing is that of fire, or the flame. And I want to share a term with our confirmands today called hit lahavut, which means the fire within. As you become confirmands, I ask you and I challenge you to find your fire. Find that which you are passionate about. And like fire, be the light for others. Bring warmth to others and guide the way for others. And unlike our flame today, please, I hope your fire never gets extinguished. Whatever you want to do to be the light for others and to bring warmth and to guide the way, may it be something you do from this day forward. And as we say in Hebrew, Ad Mea Ve'esrim, may you live to be 120. And so for the next 100-ish years, go forth and make the world you want it to be.
Thank you, Rabbi Goldberg, for those beautiful words of blessing. I'd like to invite Cantor Kolbrenner to share a musical selection as we conclude this part of our ritual.
I wanted to share a song that I found inspiring, and I hope it inspires you. And it really is something that I want to share because I think these confirmands have stepped up to be leaders. And through learning the different midot, and by some of you going to L'Takain, that you'll make an impact in this world. And hopefully this song sort of shares how you can make an impact. I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice, my
Thank you, Cantor Colbrenner, for sharing. I'm not sure if this is the first time that our community has heard this. Our students went to Lit-Ta-Can heard it. It's becoming sort of one of the new anthems of Reform Movement and the Religious Action Center. Beautiful words written by a great songwriter and musician, Alana Arian. So thank you, Cantor Colbrenner, for bringing this to us. Very much appreciated. I'd like to invite the president of our congregation, John Stevens, to share a few words. John.
Thank you, Rabbi. So, Mazel Tov, Shirami Confirmation Class of 5780, and welcome to your family, friends, and the Shirami community here with you tonight. As Shirami's president and member, I am honored to share Confirmation Part 1 with each of you. This evening, we celebrated in our Brady Bunch Zoom boxes, further apart than all the other classes, but with your effort, as close to each other as the previous classes. You can add this unique confirmation experience to your lengthening list of pandemic-induced, never-before experiences. Ezra, Kira, Jessica, Brady, Logan, Kara, and Izzy, we're so happy to celebrate your confirmation. Your reflections on the midot of humility, friendship, compassion, wisdom, gratitude, generosity, and mindfulness were personal, thoughtful, and deeply touching. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. We have learned from you. Reaching confirmation, particularly this year, proves your persistence, resilience, and commitment to each of your individual journeys and to sustain and grow our greater Jewish community. Becoming confirmed demonstrates how committed, devoted, and dedicated the 7 you are to spiritual growth, a lifetime of learning, making an impact on the world, and connecting together. You are shining examples of what it means to embrace and live Jewish values each day. I look forward to seeing each of your marks on our future. I'm grateful to Rabbi Briskin and David Sandman for shepherding you through your journey towards confirmation. They are more than teachers. They have been your mentors, examples, and guides while you made personal discoveries about yourself and your Judaism along the way. Your Shirami community quells over each of you. We'll see you when we're back together for part 2, and Mazel Tov to you all.
Thank you, John. When we come to part 2, that's when you'll have your pictures taken in the robes. That's when you'll get your gifts. I think we maybe missed the opportunity to have just all of us just take a Zoom picture. I don't really want to put that on the wall. We'll wait till we're all together where we could take a real picture. Just would also be remiss if not again, just once again thanking my colleague and partner in this work, David Sandman, who has been teaching confirmation, I think now for 26 or so years. Is that right, David? And between that and Fern Levy, who has been our youth director for about the same amount of time, and Rabbi Goldberg, who's been with us for 14 years now. There's a lot of extraordinary longevity, and our confirmands have seen those folks in our congregation really since they were little children. I know that Cantor Colbrenner and I are very grateful to be able to come into their lives at this moment in their lives. And we look forward to celebrating more together. I also know that in this space are some parents who became confirmed as well. And I know that one of the great joys you would have had if we were together would be looking on the wall and finding the picture from your confirmation, 10, 15 years ago or so, whenever that happened. But really for all of you, for our parents, thank you for supporting this modification. Thank you for schlepping your kids to religious school and to confirmation every Tuesday and some Sundays as well. Maybe when we meet again for part 2, they will already be driving, so that will be off of your plate. But we really, we could not have done any of this without you. So we thank all of you for helping to make us make it to this moment. So we're going to conclude our confirmation consecration ritual with Havdalah as we bid farewell to Shabbat. And this is where it's going to get, we're going to need everyone who is not a confirmand, just a little bit of patience, because we're going to invite our confirmands to, you can get up and go join your families. wherever they may be. And the families can get out the Havdalah items, the candle, the modified spice box, or the clementine with the cloves in it. Perhaps your child's bar bat mitzvah kiddush cup with a little bit of juice in it. Eric will introduce this, and we will go relocate, and we'll be back with you in just a moment or two.
Thank you, Rabbi. And just as a reminder, the last blessing of our Havdalah will be that of Havdalah, the Havdalah blessing. And Havdalah means separation. And we are, of course, separating Shabbat from the rest of the week. And I would ask all of us, but especially our confirmands, to actually do the exact opposite of what Havdalah is all about. Havdalah separates from one time to another. But I would ask us to think of separation in a different way on this evening for all of us. In Pirkei Avot, which was referenced by several of our students, by Rabbi, and by many others throughout our lives, it says, do not separate yourself from the community. And so I hope as we enter into this Havdalah together via Zoom from all over the country, and I'm not sure if anybody's international, but perhaps even internationally, I would kindly ask us that even in this time of COVID and in a time of a pandemic, that we do not separate ourselves from each other, that we do not separate ourselves from our family, that we do not separate ourselves from Shirami and from the larger Jewish community. And so I know that we will come together as a family this evening as one big confirmation family. And I hope that we remember that on this day in 2020, our confirmands brought us together as a community. And I hope as a reminder that we always stay connected. And even if we see each other via Zoom, or we see each other in person, or we happen to see each other somewhere along the way of our lives, we remember that we are not separated, but rather brought together. And so I wish everybody a wonderful end to Shabbat. May the sweetness and holiness of Shabbat remain with you throughout the week. And I wish everybody safety and healthy and happiness as we come together to celebrate Havdalah as one community. And I am not exactly sure where Rabbi is on this screen. There you are. Now you're together with, you're under Karen Briskin's name.
I'm under Karen Briskin's name. So I can't see it. David, is everybody here? Can you guys help us if everyone's there with their families?
I would say yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so far, so good, right?
So yeah, so we're going to invite everyone to light the candles, and Cantor Kohlbrenner will lead us in the blessings for Havdalah.
Baruch atah Adonai
Hamavdil ben kodesh lecho, chatotenu imcho. Zarinu v'chaspenu, yabakacho, v'chakochavim balayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera Benyaminu, Yavo Elenu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilati. And just for fun, the twisted candle brightens our hearts as together we watch the Sabbath depart. We smell the spices and taste the wine as the stars in the sky begin to shine. Shavua tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as Sabbath wine. Say goodbye to a special friend as another Shabbat has come to an end. Shavua tov are the words we speak when we say, may you have a happy week. Shavua tov, may you have a good week. May you find the happiness you seek. Shavua tov, may your week be fine. May it be as sweet as Sabbath wine. Shavua tov. Shavua tov, everyone.
Oh, that's all.
Shavua tov. You see, I got from Shirmi. Got two things going on here. Well, no, not here. So I got from Shirmi to my house very quickly, as you can see, the empty sanctuary there. Thank God for virtual backdrops. So once again, mazel tov to all of our confirmands, and thank you to our all of our parents and grandparents and friends, members of our larger congregation, many of whom are here today to celebrate with us. We appreciate all of your love and your support. So David, can you unmute everyone, or Eric, can you unmute everyone? And we'll let people say hello to their own family members and spend a couple minutes online. We'll keep the room open for as long as folks want to hang out here. And you can put something in the chat message if you'd like, just send a chat to a friend or your child. And if our students want to go back to your own computers, maybe it might be easier for you to chat with folks or your grandparents or something. So David, any last words?
Mazel tov, guys. Very nice.
That's me. Sorry, I'm gonna stop.
Because he's got two things on.
Mazel tov, everyone.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, David. Mazel tov, everyone. We love you.
Mazel tov, especially to Izzy.
Whenever you want.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov, everyone. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, all of our
Mazel
amazing.
tov to all of you. You deserve it.
Huh? Can you read?
Everyone was great. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful job. Great speech.
Thank you.
Great job, everyone.
You with too many computers in there.
Yeah, some of these people, they do all day.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, it's still on now, huh?
No.
That's enough.
Oh.
That was Mindy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Mazel tov, Brady.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm back. I left something at the synagogue.
All these new gadgets, I'll tell you.
we love you.
Thank you to all the congregants who showed up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank you, our Share Me family.
The new congregants. How do we get Mindy? Oh, there she,
Mazel tov, Neil and Mindy.
I just want to say I am.
Thank you.
I just want to say I am thrilled that Hunter Klein is wearing shorts, because if not, I would have been very disappointed. There you go, Hunter.
I'm sure Brady is too. He just can't see it.
Yeah, I'm wearing. Don't worry, I'm wearing some dress.
It's a shirt and tie and shorts, not the dress code.
Rabbi Eric, was that comment that he's wearing shorts or that he was wearing any kind of?
No, shorts. Hunter is my, like, when February 10th comes along and it's negative 75 degrees, I can count on Hunter to be wearing shorts. No
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
Stephen Sunny, how do I find?
Nobody wants to leave.
One of the nice things is always just seeing our students' backgrounds and sort of where they are. We always have some fun conversations. So you can usually see usually we would see Brady's artwork, see Kara's record collection.
Brady and Hunter shorts.
I don't see Brady's artwork. I want to see Brady's artwork.
Not up at the moment. I took it down. This is much of a glare.
Ezra's Red Sox and Boston Sports Shrine, which is there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Everybody.
You don't have to.
Nothing burned in people's homes, right? Everything was good with the 12-wick Havdalah candle.
Get the mouse.
Okay. Lay back up. Where'd Neil go? We're gonna leave.
Nice to see Ezra's grandparents. Since we're in the same town, I never see them.
Indeed.
Fred.
Mom and Dad, Fred is talking to you.
I don't think they heard.
I don't think they heard.
Oh, Chuck's parents?
Yeah. You're right next to each other.
You guys are right next
You're
to
right next to each
other.
other on our screen.
Fred and the brisket.
Too.
Robin, I'm glad you guys made it back from State College yesterday, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it was quite a day.
I'm sure it was.
Yes.
Thanks, Susan and Hannah. Thanks for being here. Marlon, Ray, good to see you guys.
It's really special.
So these are some of our friends who saw Ezra between kindergarten and 8th grade. So we celebrate with our former community too. So
nice.
I like the screen.
I don't know. You have to say something if you want it.
Okay. Fred, we're gonna sign off. We finished making dinner. We have company coming.
All right.
I would like to say, although I joked
Thank
with
you,
Hunter a
Rick.
little, I too secretly desire to come to work every day in shorts. It's my secret. I long to be Hunter Klein. It's my goal in life.
Even in February, Rabbi Goldberg?
You know what? If I had to tough it out, I would do it. Yeah, sure. Why not? But I would have to admit I'm not cold. That's part of the thing.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh,
Cantor.
awesome.
Thank
Have a
you.
day.
Thank you,
Bye,
David.
Teresa and Rick. Bye.